This one's called Lottie and the Confused Little Bear. Here we go. Lottie was a little girl, and she was lonely. Lottie needed someone to hang out with, so she talked to her mom, and she said they could get a dog. She knew that a local kennel had some to spare, so that's where they went, up the hill to Boondock's farm. Boondock's farm was a lovely little place. It had once been a sheep farm, and they still kept a few, along with other animals. They still breed their own sheepdogs and had started taking in boarders and strays from around the way. This meant the old stables were always filled with many barking, howling, and panting faces. Today was definitely no exception. In fact, the noise and excitement was tremendous. Dogs bounce, dogs bark, everywhere was pandemonium. The only calm one was the old collie that sauntered out of the house with the bouncy granddaughter in tow. "Hello, Lottie, my dear girl," whispered the grand old lady. "What brings thee here to visit us?" "Hello, Fran. I'm looking for a dog of my own, but first, please do tell me what is happening." "Ah, now, me dear, that is a good question. 'Tis best I shows ye." With that, Fran turned and wandered off toward the back of the stables. When they reached the corner of the stables, they met two other collies, Toby and his big brother Barney. "Right, Barney, he still at it?" "Yo, mum, 'tis is." "'Tis right weird," said Toby. "Well, I brought Lottie round to see him. Maybe she can work it out. She's got the brains, this one." Lottie blushed at the compliment from Fran, who she knew was a very intelligent dog indeed. All five of them carried on round the stables where Lottie saw the apparent cause of the trouble, but she couldn't immediately say why. Lottie saw a dog, no taller than the collies, but much bigger with much thicker hair. Then, as she got closer, she noticed the sound it was making. It was growling, but not a simple dog growl like you might expect. It was more like a bad impression of a dog. It was saying growl, growl. Instead of barking, it was saying roar. Have you ever pretended to be a bear or a lion? Do you remember the noises you made? Now imagine a dog doing the same. How bizarre. So, Lottie moved closer to the dog. She was scared of the strange behavior, but was comforted by the feeling of Toby pressing against her. The brave collie was ready to protect her if needed. All of a sudden, the creature rose up on its hind legs, but not like any dog. Some dogs will rise up in a strange, prolonged jump. Some performing dogs do a trick where they totter around on two legs. This was neither. Its back was straight and its stumpy front legs splayed out to the sides. "Roar," it said. "That's just plain weird, it is," said Barney. "Hello," said the brave little girl. "I'm Lottie. What's your name?" The creature sank back down to all fours, but its shoulders sank lower, and the edges of its mouth sank too. "I'm Max," it said sadly. "Aren't you scared of me?" "No," said Lottie. Lottie didn't have to lie, even though she had been scared seeing Max looking so small and sad changed it all around. "Why would I be scared of a lively, fluffy thing like you?" Max perked up, his tail tall, began to wag. Then he suddenly seemed to catch himself and dropped it down, almost like he was ashamed of it. "You should be scared because I'm a bear." "You're a bear? Aren't bears usually bigger?" "I'm small for my size." Lottie couldn't help but giggle. "I am a bear," protested Max, "and that's how I like it. I can prove it too." "Prove it?" said Lottie. "How?" "I can do things that bears do. I can climb trees, I can fish, and I can eat honey." Lottie thought for a while and then had a great idea. "Okay, Max, if you can prove you're a bear, I'll take you home and you can live with me." Max smiled a big toothy smile. "That sounds great. Let's go find a tree." So off Lottie and Max trotted toward the woods, with Barney and his little puppy Abby following on to watch the fun. It took longer than expected to find a tree. Max seemed to have a million excuses why each one they found wasn't suitable. Lottie was happy to keep exploring, but eventually Barney's patience wore thin, and he made Max agree to one. As trees for climbing go, it should have been fine. It was a tall, straight pine with its lower branch just at the height of Lottie's head. Max made a great show of preparing to climb. Meanwhile, Barney made a great show of cleaning himself. Max moved up to the tree and walked up on his front paws as far as he could reach. Then, with a great roar of effort, he swung his hind legs around the trunk and slid slowly to the ground. This made Abby giggle. Max looked ashamed and started to stammer over his explanation. It's my claws, you see. Worn down by living on concrete and walking on tarmac instead of in the woods where bears are meant to do their business. Everyone knows bears need claws to climb. I am a bear, and what I need is claws. Never mind, said Lottie. I'm sure you're right about claws. Fishing next? And so they all headed down to the river. On the riverbank, they found a fisherman. They talked to him, and he said he had had an excellent day's fishing. That's great then, Max. Let's find you a spot upstream and we can give this a try. So they were soon in a quiet spot on the riverbank. Max waded out, somewhat clumsily, to a rock he had selected. Very soon, Max was diving his paw into the water. Just like bears do in all the best documentaries, and pulled out a handful of weeds and a drinking bottle. That stupid human must have scared them all away. Everyone knows bears don't fish near humans, complained Max. I am a bear and I shouldn't need excuses. I'm sure you're right again, said Lottie, while she patted Max on the back as he clambered out of the river. On to the last test. So the four of them strolled toward the village shop. Lottie found she had enough money to buy 1 jar of honey, which she took outside and placed it in front of Max. Max smiled and dug in hungrily. I know I couldn't climb, he said between mouths full, and I didn't do well at fishing either. Another lap into the jar, but I can eat the honey, so I am a bear, right? Lottie, whispered Barney, dogs eat honey too, and gestured to Abby, lapping the lid of the honey jar. Lottie simply put her finger across her lips and said, shush. Turning to Max, she said, I think you are brave enough and clever enough to be whatever you want to be. So yes, you are a bear. And much more than that, I would like you to be my bear. Max's eyes lit up and his tail wagged. I'd like that very much, Lottie. And so home they went, leaving Barney and Abby with the rest of the honey, and they lived happily ever after, girl and bear. The end.